Good morning. Today, I want to talk a little bit about the art of saying no, both to your customers, yourself, and your coworkers. This is kind of based off of a Fast Company article that Scott Smith, the CEO of Cloud App, contributed to. And I thought it had some really interesting insights and thought I'd bring in some of the own things that I've learned as well. So starting off, I think one of the cool things was starting off with your why. This was from Nick Martin, CEO of Joe Coffee. He said, if you find yourself trying to talk yourself into an opportunity or reevaluating the principles for decision making that have gotten you this far, double down on your why. And I think this is something that I've really tried to do, is kind of committing to a strategy and really not evaluating it, weekly, but really committing to how you're growing things, how you're going to layer things on. And that can really help you know what to say no to. I've heard from a lot of friends who've gone to some tech companies, both here in Utah and then also in the Bay Area, who were really frustrated when their companies would change their strategies every few months. And it would be like, we feel like we had put all this effort into a strategy and then, we'd change that so quickly. That's maybe one thing that there's kind of maybe a middle ground between enterprise and startup, where startups, you can kind of move quickly and adapt. But maybe those are smaller things to a larger strategy. So committing to that strategy and then being able to know your why you're doing that. And that will kind of help lead to saying no to new things that may come up. That can also, coming from Adobe and then also here at Cloud App, I think we stay committed to a customer-driven product roadmap. But if you're always saying yes to people wanting new features or benefits from your product, you're never going to catch up. Changes you make are never going to satisfy everybody. Hopefully you're making the changes that will satisfy the masses and will, bring value to the most amount of people. But chances are updates you make that really make certain people happy will maybe anger other people. So you really just have to be able to kind of delay yes. Say, that's something that we are really focused on in the future, but at the moment we're working on a few other pressing issues. Stay tuned type of thing. And when you're really upfront and honest with people, your customers like that, I think it brings a new level of experience for them where they kind of feel a little bit more ownership in your product. And people, from my experience, really respect when you're honest with them like that, where you can say why you might not want to focus on a certain product update or not. And I've really found it cool to see companies that put their roadmaps up on like public Trello boards. Cloud App does that. I've seen a lot of other companies do that, where you can literally just log into a Trello board and see kind of what's coming up next. The next way to kind of say no is Niles Mathieson, CEO of Minute, which is a smart home alarm, said is to really reflect on the ROI. So, time is money, especially when you're a CEO or leading a team or something. Every decision you make really takes a toll and opportunity cost on other decisions that you could be spending your time on. So rather than look far ahead in the calendar for some white space, Niles asks himself whether he'd want to take this meeting tomorrow. And he says, if the answer is not, then I probably won't want to take it in 3 weeks from now. So that is how he's kind of leading his ability to say no to people. And then Nick Martin came back again and said that you need to not get distracted, which is something that I mentioned. Staying the course and really trying to double down on things that are working well, and things that being able to cut things that aren't, but they're all part of a larger strategy. So you're not totally changing a campaign or a strategy. You're really just changing little pieces of it and testing pieces of it. That can really help you to know and stay focused and be able to say no. Sarah Raffa, who co-founded Coterie, which sells and delivers party kits. She says she recommends setting boundaries and sticking to them. Sometimes, that coffee meeting could be a quick call, or that call could be an email. You can use tools like Cloud App to shoot a quick video to eliminate that meeting. But really, like, looking at your calendar and wondering if you really need to be in that meeting. This is something that was really valuable for me at Adobe, is that I'd get pulled into a lot of meetings, and it started to kind of dominate my calendar. And I started to kind of look at those meetings and wonder if I actually really needed to be there, or if I could have a team member go for me who could kind of, we could, divide and conquer, or if I didn't really need to go at all, or if I could just kind of reduce that meeting. One thing I loved doing was, if I had a meeting, especially if it was someone that I worked with frequently, I'd do 15 or 45 versus 30 and 60-minute meetings. So you'd be amazed at how quickly you can cut down on your time spent in meetings by doing things like that. And recently, some data that Cloud App polled in a survey that'll be coming out in a couple of weeks was that the average US-based office worker spends about 2 hours a day in meetings. So finding ways to cut that out and reduce as much as possible can really be helpful. I also love doing standing meetings to reduce those things. So that can really help you, really managing your calendar and knowing what is really valuable with your time can help you to say no. Scott, the CEO of Cloud App, said, remember that you don't always have to deliver a hard no. If it seems like a good fit, you can ask your team to investigate it and then kind of come in later on. If there's an opportunity that can be delegated and kind of expand the pie a little bit, then that can also be helpful. And he says also, you'd be surprised at how easily you can delay certain opportunities. So there can be something that's like, you know what, I really do want to invest in this conference or this speaking opportunity or this collaboration or partnership, but we just don't have the resources right now. Can we, keep this warm and chat in 6 months? Just kicking it down the road and keeping in touch and not totally saying no to those things, but more like a no maybe, no, not right now, but no, yes, potentially in the future, can be really helpful in improving that experience for yourself and for your people you work with. Roman Callista, CEO of Nutrient, said, it's a weird opportunity to learn. You might decline an opportunity by saying, unfortunately, my team can only focus on building the product and user feedback in the moment. But by playing your cards right, you're opening yourselves to feedback. There might be a better way to spend my time now, and the other person can still convince me that the meeting will bring value. One thing that we love to do here at Cloud App is a screen recording tool that enables instant business communication. And anytime I get a sales pitch, which is several times a week, if there's one that I think might be interesting, I reply back to them and I say, this looks interesting. Why don't you record a pitch for me using Cloud App and show me kind of how your product works or how this service works, and then I can evaluate further. And that way, for me, it provides an opportunity for exposure for the product, but also it kind of weeds out those who are kind of just sending out an automated email and trying to engage that way with the people that are really putting active effort into selling to your company. And that's proved to be pretty successful. So I think, there's a lot of value that can be gained by saying no to customers, to employees, teammates, and even yourself sometimes. Definitely stick to a strategy, be invested in that, and kind of have an understanding of the broad goals and reevaluate every quarter or annually, depending on your size. And then be willing to kind of delay things if you see there's an opportunity, and definitely delegate. So I think those things have all been helpful in learning how to say no to those things. And hopefully those and anything that I get suggestions on in the future can help each of you to learn how to say no and take more control of your calendar and your strategy. Have a great day, and we will talk again soon. Thanks.